Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I want to give you a quick update on some of my trees and how they're doing right now during growth season. So it's been a couple of months now already they started to grow, and as you can see here, a lot of new growth featured on many trees. And I want to jump in right away in this video with 4 of the trees you will see here, and in the end I will add another 5th tree that I want to give a quick update about, so keep posted for that one as well. I would start right away with this little pomegranate tree that you can see right here in the back. So let's start with this one. So here we have my little pomegranate tree, more specifically a dwarf pomegranate, which is simply more suited for bonsai actually, because the leaves are smaller. It also grows smaller fruit then. This year it doesn't show any fruit because I have pruned it back this season, or this winter. And when you prune it back in winter, it does not normally grow fruit that year because it needs basically a 2-year-old growth to grow the fruits from, and as you prune it back you only have this new growth forming everywhere that doesn't yet sport any flowers or any fruit then afterwards. However, I'm quite happy with pruning it back. It gave it way more structure again. You can see I cleaned out a lot of the spots here in the middle, really reduced the height, and you can see we have a strong new leader here that is already growing again, roughly 40 centimeters already up now in growth season. A lot of new side branches that have formed. I see some here, some branches that have not sported any new growth, so I think they have died back over winter. There's always the one or the other growth point from which there's no new growth after winter, but that is normally not a big deal. So I can go in and take those out because we won't have any growth from these points. So why keep the bare ones on? We just take it out. But other than that, it has recovered quite nicely. I will put also footage in here how it looked like when I pruned it in winter. It was quite bare actually back then, and it's always nice to see this one coming back in spring, sporting so much new growth. I do love the foliage on this tree. Have it on my balcony. It gets very hot out there, so it feels right at home there. I water it every couple of days simply when I see the top layer of the soil is drying out. Quite easy to care for, to be honest. I don't do much with it at the moment. This year the plan is just to let it grow. Maybe once growth season is over and it starts losing the leaves again, I might shorten the leader here again, simply to fit better in with the rest of the tree. But right now I just let it grow out, make sure this trunk is thickening still. Love the Nabari on the tree and definitely have high hopes for this tree. And hopefully in 1 or 2 seasons I will be able to actually put this in its first proper shallow training pot and see how we fare from there. So first tree, my little pomegranate. So much for my pomegranate. Let's move on with this little ligustrum that you can see here, also known as Chinese privet, and get a little bit of a closer look at that one as well. And here we have my Chinese privet, which is doing better than it used to do, but still I would say more of a struggling tree at me for the moment. You can probably see it's very bare from this side. We actually had to take out here all the growth because it died back over winter, so this was completely dead, all those side branches here. You can still see on that side it continues to struggle a bit with a lot of dieback. However, now the growth season has started and you can see it more from this side. It has started to fill in and backbud quite prolifically, so I'm very happy about that. Even from very old wood down here, it started to throw out new shoots. So there's definitely some strength and vigor still in this tree, so I have not given up on it. And I think I have figured it out now. I have repotted this also not too long ago because it was definitely in the wrong soil. I still had it in the soil I bought it in, which was this very dense clay-like soil. And I think that very much affected the health of this tree. And since repotting it, it has sprouted all this new growth. So definitely the right decision. And hopefully I can still see here, I mean, some leaves that are dying back, especially of the older leaves. There's so much new growth coming now in that I do hope that we have turned the tide on this tree and it's now in a good position to really move forward in the future and like set up in a way that it can hopefully in the future also fill in this area again. Of course it will take time. Definitely a lot of work that will be needed on this tree in the future to fill in the problems and mistakes that we had here in the past, but that is always nice to continue to learn and grow with your tree as well. So also a tree that I'm looking forward to work on a lot. I actually like trees that are a bit more finicky, that give me a bit of a headache sometimes, because it is simply something you need to look at and keep more in mind on which steps to take next. So here, once again, a look on my Chinese privet. So that was my Chinese privet. Now let's move on to one of the ficus that I have, and more specifically Ficus Ginseng or Ficus Microcarpa, and let's take a closer look at that one. So moving back to an indoor bonsai, my Ficus Microcarpa or Ficus Ginseng, which I have repotted also this winter into its first bonsai pot. So when I bought it, it was just in a normal plastic pot, but of course I wanted to really turn it into a proper bonsai. I chose this one because I love this triangle shape at the bottom, because it looks like maybe in the future we can actually improve that more, and it just looks like a very old tree that is spreading out and has like nice nebari. But in general, a very healthy tree. It has never really lost many leaves, but the rogue one once in a while. A lot of new growth also sporting. I do love this new growth that comes in a very light green and then later darkens considerably, as you can see here on older growth. A lot of new branches forming. I haven't pruned that back that harshly this year, because I really, after repotting it, of course, I didn't want to stress the tree too much with pruning it also, but still some ramification also going on, a lot of new growth points. So very healthy tree. Here you can see we might let this one grow a bit more, filling in this area a little bit. But this year also the plan for this one, just let it grow. Probably end of July, end of August, it will probably be very bushy already, and I might have to give it a mid-season prune before even then a final prune in September, October. So a lot of new growth, very happy with this one, very healthy. Do even in winter now, in summer now, keep it inside, because I feel, as it has been inside the entire time, the leaves wouldn't be that used to the direct sunlight from outside. My balcony gets very hot and it always gets direct sunlight. So I would be a bit concerned that this one might get leaf burn if I turn it out right now. I think I would have had it to put it out a bit earlier, but with repotting it, I didn't want to stress it, even with like moving it from its usual environment then. So this is my little Ficus Microcarpa. So much for the Ficus Ginseng. Now let's move on to my little olive tree that you can see here on this side. So here we're at the close-up of my olive tree, a tree I'm quite happy with. I also keep this one together with my pomegranate on my balcony. And since it really started to get hot, you can see a lot of new growth forming here. I will also post some footage of this one, how it looked like after winter. Normally this one doesn't lose all the leaves in winter for me. I think olives normally don't tend to do that anyway. But you could see on those images still that many of the leaves were yellow. They didn't seem very healthy. But now this tree has bounced back so nicely. It finally has again leaves that I would call like the normal color for olives. So very healthy leaves, very healthy new growth on many different points, especially here, of course, at the apex of the tree. So a nice new top here created on the tree. I love the structure of the main trunk line here. It is a very nice looking tree, and I see a lot of potential in this tree. And here we can actually see a little flower. Hope you can see that actually on camera. Let me move this branch a bit out of the way. So it also flowers normally each year. This year, of course, a bit less because I've pruned it in winter. But right now, very healthy, very happy with this tree. So much new growth points everywhere. Those flowers, by the way, they also you get a lot of pollen from them. So probably my balcony will be a bit yellow in the next couple of days until the rain washes them off. But really happy and really looking forward to work more on this tree. Right now it's still in a normal pot. I will hopefully in 1 or 2 years also be able to move this one to its first shadow training pot. Love how thick the trunk actually is starting to be in the lower part here. Nice taper on the tree. So many possibilities still. We pruned it back quite harshly, but still I left a lot of the branches on, simply to give me still many different choices in the future on how to improve this tree. The plan for this year is keep it growing, make sure the new growth that comes in is healthy, and simply show also nice ramification. We can see that, for example, here we cut it back, we have 2 new branches forming here. So also working as expected and as intended. Here the same thing, 2 new branches forming. So definitely a tree I am always happy to see how it is moving. So these were the 4 trees that I've mentioned in the beginning of this video, and finally I want to bring one more tree, which is another ficus that I want to give you an update about. So I promised you one more tree, and here it is. It is my tiger bark ficus. In the last video where I've shown this one, actually I repotted it because it started to lose so many leaves on many different areas, also new growth that's starting to turn yellow on fall. And I think I just caught it in time. You can definitely spot right away. For example, here, it lost all the leaves on these branches, so it really completely died back here, but it stopped finally. So I think we just caught it in time. I guess, or I suspect, there was some root rot already going on. And by repotting it and also root pruning it, we definitely, I think, saved this one from being a goner. So definitely some losses here that we have to look at, but I can see, for example, here right now there's new growth also starting on these branches. So there is new growth now showing again also here on higher up branches, but the lower ones definitely already started to die back. But for the last 2 weeks, I would say it really started to settle again, not losing any new leaves and really starting also to recover in certain areas already. But once again, that simply shows root rot. If you don't act fast, you won't win that fight. So thankfully I caught it in time, and this emergency repot really paid off. So I wanted to show this tree as the last one as well. Just showing not all trees, even though it's growth season, have to do well. If you have a tree that already got a bit sickly beforehand, growth season might stabilize it, but you probably cannot expect too much new growth and too much new healthy growth from it that season. So what I expect from this tree is simply to stabilize this year a bit, hopefully backbud as it already starts to do here now, and also maybe here on this side branch a little bit, but it won't fill out all of this. So I guess many of those branches have died back considerably, probably already quite brittle. I don't want to test it too much now, I just want to see now that it's settled in. I continue watering it, feeding it, and see simply how this growth season will treat this tree. But I definitely have learned a lesson from this tree, repotting it in very much better fitting soil that is basically almost completely inorganic, and simply making sure it doesn't get too wet and doesn't stay too moist in this pot. But yeah, a final tree I wanted to show simply to give you also an idea that growth season doesn't always mean like hyper growth on all of your trees and all of them are healthy all the time. So hopefully that also just gave you a quick insight on this tree. So here you saw it, 5 trees, a lot of new growth on them, some doing amazingly, some others are struggling a little bit, but all sport new growth, all seem to benefit a lot from growth season. If you have any questions about any of these trees, of course, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I hope I will get to see you in the next video then. Until then, goodbye.